Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the session today entitled The Future CIO Driving the Business. I will begin my remarks by stating that while the title is The Future CIO, the material that I'll discuss today is applicable to anybody in any IT leadership role, whether it be a project manager, a functional manager, director level, because these concepts, I believe, are going to continue to evolve and be applicable to any of us that hope to find ourselves in a leadership position in an IT organization going forward. With that opening, let's look at the first slide here. I think over the course of the evolution of the role of IT and the IT executive, there have been several questions that have continued to receive a lot of airtime. For example, what role does IT play in the business? What role does the IT executive play with the business? What role should we take? What role do we want to take? Do we want to be plumbers or do we want to be architects? I believe that the IT executive has a very unique perspective and an incredible value that they can bring to their organizations that is unlike any other. We sit at the intersection of the business process, the business function, the business knowledge, and the IT knowledge, the IT process, the IT capabilities. We have the ability to see where the problems are. We have the ability to see where the technology future is. And I think the biggest challenge that we face as a function is to get ourselves equally versed with an understanding of the business so that as we interact with the business, we meet what I will call and what I will discuss today as the 3 C's. Specifically, credibility, coherence, and context. Credibility being the belief that another has in our ability to state something and be believed. Coherence, meaning that we have an understanding on how the pieces fit together. And context, meaning that with which we speak is relevant to the particular time, place, and situation. A little bit of background at this cartoon. I'm sure all of us have been at this situation where we're making a presentation or interacting some way with the business, and no matter how hard we try, we just cannot seem to get that point across. So today what I hope to share with you are some tools that I've picked up along the way, both that aid in evolution of an organization and a function, and also those that will make us incredibly astute and believable and credible business people as well. So with that as a highlight, I will also, before I move on to my remarks here, I'm trying to synthesize what has been 15 to 20 years of my experience into a 35 to 40 minute presentation. There's obviously a lot more to discuss, and certainly I'm always available via email to try and answer your questions as they come up. So with that, next slide here. I always like to start with a little bit of humor, and so I think a couple of quotes here that lay the perspective for some of the difficulties that we as IT practitioners face. Technology is a very challenging environment. It is fraught with complexity. It is fraught with constant change, unreasonable demands and time frames, and ultimately it is populated by IT people. For those of you that are followers of the TV show Big Bang Theory, I personally find a lot of reality there. Those are the people that I went to school with. We as technologists and engineers tend to approach the world with a black and white perspective, and we know at least those of us that have spent a lot more time working with the business, is that there's nothing black and white about it at all. And so we have to address those issues with our organizations and our organizations' interactions with the other parts of the company that they interact with and serve and or lead. So I'd like to share this. This is a framework that I picked up many years ago. It is based on a CIO boot camp that was put on by Metagroup. Metagroup, of course, was purchased by Gartner a few years ago. And for the most part, I don't believe any of these models that they used are still used in any public forum. I haven't come across them. But this one in particular is one that I have found significant value from over the years, and I have used it in many different ways in understanding and applying organizational change to the organizations that I've been responsible for. There are many key points here, and I actually once gave a presentation on this one slide, and I spent over an hour on just this one slide. So there's a lot here, and so I will try and give you a little bit of framework around it without using the whole hour on this one slide. So first and foremost, there are some interesting things about these axes. The x-axis, entitled The Credibility of Supporting Operations. That is, in essence, how well the IT organization does their job. Very factual. Do we do what we're supposed to do? Do we have the processes? Do we have the metrics? Do we have the practices? Do we have a framework? Do we have the solution architecture? All of those things that are factually testable and, quite frankly, the things that I think a lot of IT organizations thrive on. The y-axis is the difficult one for our organizations to grapple with, and that is the business perception of the value of information technology. So, again, a couple key points here. First of all, that perception word, okay, not quite so factual. In fact, very rarely is, except that we know that perception is fact, right? The value word. What is value? Is it money? Is it speed? Is it innovation? There's a lot of different things that can follow into that value thing. Now, here's the most difficult one, and one of the challenges that I face with my own organizations over the year, and this is the one where I think the first time you tell this to your organization, you'll get a lot of pushback. The IT organization is responsible for the business perception of the value of IT. I'll state that again for emphasis. The IT organization is responsible for the business perception of the value of IT. First of all, your organization, doesn't like that perception word because it's not factual. And number two, I think they would be indignant that you would say that they are responsible. But ultimately, they are. And so, depending upon where your particular organization falls on this map, it then dictates the